Yeah, it's recording. So you can just ignore that, but that's going to be recording you. If you don't want it to, that's fine. I should say, I'll turn it off if you rather not. Yeah. Okay, it's recording. Good. Night's going well. So Sarah Dixon's going to be our first open micer. If you'd like to welcome her to the stage.
So try not to look at yourself. That's quite distracting. I haven't really got much about bees, but I brought 2 poems about wasps and 2 with wood lice in. So I thought they're kind of nearly there. Bees are mentioned in one of them. The first one's again a strange one. I don't tend to do ones that play with sounds, and it's more playing with sounds, and I'm not quite sure it's there yet, but I wanted to read it out to see how it feels to read it. Because it always feels different to read it kind of out loud to yourself to actually reading it on stage, and then you hear different things. This is called The Wasp Master Beat, and it's about wasps and the menopause. It fits in well as well. Imagine the furore when post-menopausal disused reproductive organs begin to sting people. Irritable, they stalk memory lanes of forgotten names and thoughts. They don gold and black flat jackets to keep the world out. Armoured by insomnia as they sting again. Dizzily throwing the stinging frisbee of 50, she passes on the hot flushes, bloated fever, expands the tissue of my ring finger, the metal pulls tight, my skin thick with blisters. The wasp master beat heats my finger, calls more forth on webbed wings to sting their poison in. Instead of joining self-help groups, inventing galaxies of bland fallacies, these women refuse to live on assurance and spaghetti hoops, and take a more satisfying route. No longer dragonflies, turquoise, slender and wanted, a blue rinse on the horizon, haunted. For a week my injected joints ache. I gain weight and my body odour changes, attracts more winged strangers. To taunt, to sting and flaunt the taut dagger of danger. Extract the shaft and leave the stung to grieve the damage the sheath has caused beneath youthful truth and skin. Thank you. This is a very short poem and it's called Missing Wasps. And it's got it's made in the shape of a bee, and then there's like a long shape of a wasp. I don't do concrete poetry very often either, so you're getting lots of new ones tonight. Missing wasps. The missing honeybees are there in the zigzag stare of mid-air. Heavy in my eyeline, unfeasibly weighty for flight. They make a beeline for me on the breeze, as they fear my fear and what it might make me or them do. But what I wonder is where the wasps went. We've not seen any wasps. People keep saying about the bees, but all the wasps seem to have disappeared too. I've got a 3-year-old and don't leave him with insects of any sort, because this is called woodlouse. You wisely curl ball tight as 2-year-old Frank holds you. I coax you to show us your soft underbelly and upside legs. After minutes of patience, you open up for me. I place you on a delighted Frank's hand. You flinch, then bask in his gentleness. We pass you between us, recoil and rejoice at the tickle of your feet. I'm distracted by a stray football. I return and ask Frank where his new friend is. He says, I squished him all up. Such malice and relish sounds wrong from a 2-year-old. I'm sorry to have challenged your first impression, made you drop your defences, left you open to harm. You wisely curl ball tight, woodlouse. Okay. I didn't time it, but I think it's probably less than 4 minutes. And this one's called Feeding the Invaders. And we live just near an allotment, and we have a 3-year-old, so there's lots of food hiding places for things to come in and eat. You can never find all of it. So, Feeding the Invaders. We could open our doors to toads and magpies, snakes, hawks and woodlouse spiders in the spirit of the woman who swallowed the fly. I stuffed shredded paper in last week's tulips in the corner the pill woodlouse likes, and where it doesn't feel the need to contort its carapace into a protective ball of antiquity. I leave the mice toast crumbs, peanut butter and 3 types of cheese, in the hope they won't touch my good unopened green and blacks. I set a row of aphids out on my rubber plant for the ladybird's pleasure. Chop the portobello mushrooms thinly to ease the slug's digestion. Then I strip naked, offering all of my skin to the hot bite of the mosquito. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm just going to plug Friday. There's 10 brilliant poets, 10 minutes each. It's £3. It's the start of the Quiet Compare tour, and there's only 14 tickets left. So
is there a poster up in here?
there's some flyers. I just put some flyers out on the table, and there's a poster up, just outside and just inside as well, I think. So yeah, you can see the list of poets. They're all brilliant. It's £3, 10 poets. Come along, it'll be great.
Yay! Oh, thank you, Sarah. That was so insect-filled. That was epic. Aphids, ladybirds, mosquitoes, everything. Epic. Cool. I think we'll have Andrew Lawson next. That's okay. Yeah, Andrew. Okay.
Hi. This first one's not about bees.
That's fine.
It's about being accused of being flaky and kind of, flakiness and how it feels. And it's called Green Lights and Broken Toys. Running away, green lights come easy to me. I wish you'd stay, said the purple hair. Oh, I completely forgot. I think I've got it on my phone, sorry. I just, it's my first time trying to, memorise these.
I thought that was just part of it, that you were just
I should have just, got along with it. Running away, green lights come easy to me. I wish you'd stay, said the purple hair. Somewhere a face, beneath minion-inspired goggles and a cat under a bench in Hazel Grove that turned out to be a broken teddy bear. You can touch the cat, suggests the child, but who wants to play with a broken toy? Today I run from friends and minions into the dark of harness-clad bars and finger puppet fantasies. Bits of my face are flaking off to reveal a wider smile, because without facial tissue our grins are just clenched, joke shop chattering toys. And who wants to play with a broken toy? Bromance-inflated invitations bounce off the walls of my instant messaging applications like the letters D, the D, changing colour in a gadget shop whirlwind of digital sadness. Ben's having a bonfire in the woods. Wolfie would like you to text her Tracy's mobile number. Michelle's drinking with Jay, and the handsome moral relativist awaits your never-coming phone call. Meanwhile, I scribble standing on a train in Windsmore, lacking both signal and the conviction to press send. Thanks. This one hasn't been in it. I didn't write it especially for this, but I just thought I'd pick this one out. It's just a short poem called Pigeon Bridge, about a really horrible bridge in Salford.
Oh my god, I thought it was the one in Manchester.
It could be any sort of pigeon bridge. Tufts of grey, they hide their feathery secrets like terrorists in cells, plunging down only occasionally to peck at the eyes of passers-by. 73% of the population of Salford was conceived here. Somewhere in the dismal sky are clouds of Wi-Fi, potentialities visible only when a lone bee is fried by their intensity. Stale the Salford sirens welcome you. They sing of sunshine and rainbows, bright blue fireplace blood haze. Thanks.
Nice.
Let's do one more, which doesn't have bees in it. It's called Train to London. Train to London with a couple, Jenny and a bearded considerate guy. They took me in on the bed on the train. I call Emily with the phone they gave me. I'm scared she won't answer. Market, her voice. I have to find this place, this market. I have to find my long lost friend. Down, down, down the rabbit hole, the K-hole. I'm in her mind now. I stay on the bed. It hovers considerately as I peruse the streets looking for a friend. A guy with a lisp licks the face of his brother, calls it bonding. Is this London? Seems to me like some nightmare horror ride as I find myself steered around these strange bars. They kiss and laugh, these crazy cool dykes. I see Emily. She's wearing a dress and a trilby. I stare stunned as a psychic kisses her throat. Eventually she asks of him, what am I? It's too late, I know. The bed retreats. She's gone. Thanks.
Oh, nice one. It's absolutely fine that you didn't, you don't have to read a poem about bees. We'll just obviously kill you later on. Obviously. No, it's fine. It's cool. I think we'll have one more open mic before we have Sarah, if that's okay. Yeah, is that okay, Sarah? Or are you really eager? Okay, she's cool. So Belinda, would you like to come to the stage? Sorry, I really caught her off guard then, mid-golfing. Belinda! Yay! Say hello.
Cool, that, yeah. Hello.
Hello.
Read a couple of bee poems.
Am I okay, Belinda?
Yeah, should be alright. Alright.
Yeah.
Okay, Sylvia Plath one for you. The Arrival of the Bee Box. I ordered this clean wood box, square as a chair and almost too heavy to lift. I would say it was the coffin of a midget or a square baby, where they're not such a din in it. The box is locked, it is dangerous. I have to live with it overnight, and I can't keep away from it. There are no windows, so I can't see what is in there. There is only a little grid, no exit. I put my eye to the grid, it is dark, dark, with the swarmy feeling of African hands, minute and shrunk for export. Black on black, angrily clambering. How can I let them out? It is the noise that appalls me most of all. It is the unintelligible syllables. It is like a Roman mob. Small, taken one by one, but my God, together. I lay my ear to furious Latin. I am not a Caesar. I have simply ordered a box of maniacs. They can be sent back. They can die. I need feed them nothing. I am the owner. I wonder how hungry they are. I wonder if they would forget me. If I just undid the locks and stood back and turned into a tree, there is the laburnum, its blend, its colonnades, and the petticoats of the cherry. They might ignore me immediately in my moon suit and funeral veil. I am no source of honey, so why should they turn on me? Tomorrow I will be sweet God, I will set them free. The box is only temporary. Sylvia Plath one. And then still on the bee theme, kind of bee related, I found this one in the Poetry Review. I've got loads of these books and I thought I better read some of them. They're like kind of on my bookshelf and I've only just started going through them all. So this one I thought was lovely by Mimi Calvati. I think that's how you say her name, yeah. Okay, The Swarm. Snow was literally swarming round the street lamp like gnats. The closer they came, the larger they grew, snow gnats, snow bees. And in my snood, smoking in the snow, I watched them. Everyone else was behind the door. I could hear their noise, which made the snow, the swarm, more silent, more welcome. I could have watched for hours and seen nothing more than specks against the light, interrupting light, and away from it, flying blind but carrying light, specks becoming atoms. They flew too fast to become snow itself, flying in a random panic, looming close but disappearing, like flakes on the tongue at the point of recognition. They died as they landed, riding on their own melting as poems do, and in the morning there was nothing to be seen of them. Instead, a streak of lemon honey ringed the sky, but the cloud lid never lifted. The weekend promised a blizzard. I could have watched for hours and seen nothing more than I do now, an image, metaphor, but not the blind imperative that drove them. Not that poem, this one. And then just one I've been kind of playing around with for a bit. It's not got anything about bees, but I wrote it in the summer. I went camping last summer in Wales, and yeah, so it's taken from the title of another poem. It's called Wind. I squeak to the toilets in Crocs. Moths gather round a flickering light. Wind whirls through the campsite, thrashing deck chairs and barbecues. Something enters the dark hole of my head. I beg thoughts to peg down deep into the ground. The door of my parents' camper van clunks shut. My dad bellows good night. I fight with headlamp and sleeping bag, pull the elastic cord tight. The wind dents the tent like a gaunt cheek. Rain taps its frantic fingers. A shadow in a hooded top dashes by. I read a book. A passage to India. A woman panics at the sound of an echo. Small stones creep under a loose flap. I wake to feel my feet burning in bed socks. In the morning, under an orange sky, crows cackle, blue hydrangeas weep. Thank you for listening.
Anna's here.
Hello, I made it. Woo.
Hello, Anna.
And yeah, I didn't dress up like a bee. I think it was Steph asked if I was going to dress like a bee. I've worn a jacket that a bee would like.
Yeah, you look nice.
That was what I went for. I thought I'll dress like what a bee would appreciate. You've got a bee on you.
I've got a bee and flowers. So.
Yeah, so our next person, as you may have noticed, is significantly taller than the last. We like contrast here at Stirred. So we have we've had her on before briefly, but she's written much more poetry since then.
Yeah, she guested at our queer alt event,
Yes.
which we did part of Pride, Alternative Pride.
Yeah.
And she guested at that. It was really cool.
So we're really pleased to have her
She's
back
very
on.
sexy and she likes to knit.
That's just some random information for you. We like to provide strange tidbits of information about our guests. The main thing you need to know is that she's a stonkingly good poet. So please give her a huge round of applause, Sarah Grace Logan.
Thank you, Becca. Best introductions as usual. I haven't quite decided what order I'm going to read these in, but I'm glad that everyone's reading so many bee poems by other people because I've brought two. So, but they're both quite horrible.
We like horrible poems. All right.
I'll start with this one by Karina Borowicz, which is called Ruins. When they saw that the nest of bees had been dug out of the ground overnight by impatient claws, overnight when the bees were surely huddled in a ball for warmth against the hardening of October. When they saw the destruction, the amber comb strewn in pieces on the upturned earth, the straggler bee crawling rings around the ragged mouth of the hole, quivering feelers, searching for what? They didn't know why, but they were afraid. Even though just the day before they'd been gathering the last cherry tomatoes, when the bees chased them all the way to the edge of the woods, and as they ran, the ripe fruit burst in their hands. I'll try and find something a bit more cheerful to read next. I've got like a mixture of bee poems and bits of poems, so. This one I wrote for Becca today, because she gave me a prompt about a kitchen worktop. Remember clambering on a kitchen chair to reach the box of sugar cubes, driven mad by our family's sweet tooth and the glare from the polished granite worktop. Too late you spotted Mum returning in gardening gloves and muddy jeans. You hissed as you ran back to me, plastic jewellery chattering. She also specified plastic jewellery. Childhood home. I will miss this view. The frosted tops of trees and the purr of snuggling doves. I wrote this one recently for like a competition about nonsense, but I'm not very good at writing nonsense because I kind of hate like forced nonsense, so you can tell me if you think it's nonsensical enough. A tiger in 36 sections. My last purchase, a flat-packed tiger in 36 sections. A growl leapt loose when I opened the box. with the smell of wet fur and jungles. I laid out the pieces, counted screws and sinew. I moved every bone and scrap of fur. Without instructions, he would be lopsided, insecure. The tiger waited for assembly. I sensed the menace of strewn claws, the echo of the growl I couldn't find. A call to the helpline. I'll get a picture off the internet and copy that. I tried to pack away my tiger, but something else was missing. I searched under the sofa, on top of the bookcase, but the growl had escaped. Did anyone see that series of photos recently, which was this woman who's like edited herself into her childhood photos? Look them up if I can't remember the woman's name, but it's called Imagine Meeting Me. It's really good. It inspired me to write this. Imagine meeting me on the rutty, mudded path of Bucknell Wood, a sprouting weed in welly boots and a scarlet duffel coat, imagining ghosts in the dark avenues. I listen for woodpeckers and hunt for bluebells. I find me, bright red in the bracken.
Bees.
Bees, yes, this one is all about, sort of about bees. It's called Not All Bees Make Honey. Your skin spread with honey, spooned up while I lounge in bed and wait to drink your bitter morning kiss. Claim your cold, sugar-stirred mouth. You lift my heavy limbs again. My limbs flail and spin as we claim the late summer grass. The air smells of green ponds and holds the exhale of dusk chattering bats. You lift my heavy limbs again. We exhale, skin growing, sunshine hot like the sting of wretched bees, drowsy late crawlers, swarm bereft, drafting circles in grass. You lift my heavy limbs again. We've been warned not to hold so tight, but I fold my fist around you, even though you have a sting. Your body hums and quivers. You lift my heavy limbs again. These are two short ones, which are like a little guilty pleasure that I wrote for my partner. But nighttime. Waiting with cold toes for you to come to bed. I cover my ears and listen to my own heartbeat. Bedtime story. I love the slow, torporous rhythm of being read to sleep. Okay, I've got 3 shortish ones left, which are all like massively work in progress. So again, if you want to come and tell me afterwards that they're too silly or not silly enough or rubbish or whatever, cool. The romance of things. I comb for lost possessions beached by the slow tide of 100 wasting friendships. My darned fishing net gathers detritus. A book whose characters were closer than a lover, now lonely and choking with dust. A cardigan with memories unravelling from sleeves too long, warmthless wool. One half of a piece of mated jewellery, tarnished and bitter at its separation. An old family recipe handed down and never handed back. I pick them up and sell them on. This one is called But What of the Bees? And it's kind of I cut up the 2 bee poems that I have read and the other one that I will read, and I kind of moved around all the words and made new poems, so it's like them but not as good. They crowd quietly at the threshold of the skull-shaped nest, peer inside the crack-mouthed grin, yielded and scent-courted. The summer fruit burst overnight, ragged cherry mouths upturned by a heavy tread. Impatient bees trace remnants at the edge of day. They comb the ground, afraid and quivering, stagger in the shadow of the nest, unearthed and strewn in shards. The woods are crawling with amber. Right, last one by me, and then I'm going to read a really good one by Jean Sprackland. Cetus. She smells of wet ink, limbs grey and stick-like, while the sky is gloaming. She is fully articulated, oiled joints wrapped in soft paper, old, as milliners felt. If you press her, your fingers feel great ribs beneath ivory-boned layers, corseted inside out. So this is another horribly depressing poem about bees. Death's Head Hawk Moth. Everything about bees is depressing at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, yeah.
Death's Head Hawk Moth. And there's a quote by James Francis Stevens which says, "It commits such extensive depredations on the honey of beehives that it has been by some denominated the bee tiger. By day it feeds quietly on potato and snowberry, lays its eggs under the leaves of the nightshade, flattens itself invisible on the bark of a tree. But when it comes bluffing at the moonlit hive, the sign of the skull stamped on its thorax should announce it clearly enough. Ever since it settled on the scaffold at Whitehall, just as the king's head was held before the crowd, its ominous costume has struck a human nerve. But here on the threshold of sweetness, it folds the dark cloak of its wings, which are no stronger than powdered gauze, and the bees hasten to give a royal welcome. It has disguised itself with their special scent, and the shrill note it sings to soothe them. How easy the doorstops swindle, how eagerly the false queen is courted, the treasure yielded up, the contract sealed."
Okay, we have a quick break now, but first of all, I'm going to read some poems by other people. I'm going to read two because one of them is really tiny. The Emily Dickinson one is like 4 lines. So I'm going to read these. I may read some of the bee poems that I wrote yesterday if I decide they're not completely rubbish. But I'll have to get a second opinion on that. I only edited them this morning. But this is by somebody who shares a similar name to me, but she's got an I in it. So I'm not sure whether she says it Piercy or Percy. But anyway, Marge, Percy, look it up. This one's called More Than Enough. The first lily of June opens its red mouth. All over the sand road where we walk, multiflora rose climbs trees, cascading white or pink blossoms, simple, intense, the scene drifting like coloured mist. The arrowhead is spreading its creamy clumps of flower, and the blackberries are blooming in the thickets. Season of joy for the bee. The green will never again be so green, so purely and lushly new grass lifting its wheaty seed heads into the wind. Rich, fresh wine of June. We stagger into you, smeared with pollen, overcome as the turtle laying her eggs in roadside sand. There we go. Thank you. Okay, this one is Emily Dickinson. It was written in 1788. Fame is a bee. It has a song. It has a sting. Ah, too, it has a wing. So, yes, we're going to have a bit more open mic later on, aren't we?
Yeah.
If you haven't given us £1, come and give us £1, please. There's a pot here. And, what? The Femi pen. This is our symbol that somebody created for us. The Femi pen. In case you're wondering what this is. But somebody did point out that the symbol for female is apparently quite gross in origin. It's supposed to be, they don't even, let's just not even go there. I don't want to even get into it. I've just blocked it out. We'll have a quick break and we'll come back here with more poetry in a bit from Steve Grasside and Marianne Daniels. Woo! How do I make this pause? Becca, how does this pause?
Oh yeah, do you like it?
What is it?
It's our video.
Oh right, hello video.
Yeah.